It took us a couple of hours to come to Thorong High from Churiledar. It was almost lunchtime. We had climbed about 580 meters, almost 2,000 feet, and walked a little over 8.6 kilometers to reach this camp. Here we were directly under these ominous rocks and the waterfall that we had seen from the distance. Since it was directly above us, we could not see the glacier as before. The camp was clean, however, the toilets had huge horseflies. There was nothing for lunch except pasta and watery sauce. It was hot and delicious. We thrust our poles into the ground and set off for high camp. We would now ascend from about 14,890 feet to almost 16,000 feet, an ascent of more than 1,100 feet in a distance of just a little over a kilometer. We would go eye to the snow on the top of the mountains, and these pictures clearly show the angle of our ascent. As we climbed upward, Thorong High was a dot in the distance, but we had a long way to go up the craggy peaks. The striations and the angle of upliftment left a fascinating pattern on the rock, a wave on the side of the mountain that was almost melodious, and cutting through these in long fissures was the water falling from the melting glacier that capped the tops. The porters went first so that we would not impede their pace with our requirements. Our guide Govinda went next with Maitreya, who was like a mountain goat. We had to actually warn him to slow down. Aravind was next, and not far behind me was my mother with Bharat and his cheery singing, his radio cassette playing all the time. We had to walk up and alongside this landslide of rubble. It was slow going and very slippery. We had to make sure we didn't lose our footing. Every once in a while, we looked back to see how far behind the camp was and how close the high rocks were. Even in what looked like an inhospitable place, life blossomed. Whenever we paused, we took some photographs. The lack of video is very telling. It was obviously a more arduous task to take out the video camera from the pack and film something. One had to focus on one's breathing and the long way up. As our footsteps crunched along the gravel and rubbly rock, we admired the beautiful flowers that clung on for dear life, with little water that they got to survive, bloom, and get ready for the next season before the snow covers them and the cold makes them die out. We had climbed far enough and were about to turn the bend when we saw our camp down below for the last time. We were now absolutely at eye level with the striated rock, and then the camp disappeared. Above us, the glacier that fed the Marsyangdi was very clearly seen. Without realizing it, we had followed her all the way to her source, up in these beautiful mountains, to the very glacier that fed her from the high tops. To be frank, looking down was dizzying, but looking up was no help either when one saw the immense altitude one had to climb. We stood cliffside waiting for a pack of mules laden with goods to pass. They were coming from the other side of the mountain, from Muktinath over the pass, and they would go down to Thorong High and all the way back down the route we came. As it turns out, what we would really do was a 500-meter hike, 1,500 feet uphill. It was not to be underestimated and not for the faint hearted. But there at last, as we turned the corner, we saw High Camp. We were really up high, up where the mountains and the snow were at eye level. It was amazing to think that we had come up this far, that we were even capable of such a feat. But then our motto was simple: one step at a time. Once we reached the top, we drank a lot of electrolytes and just basked in the balmy sun. We had all become blackened from being exposed to the harsh light. My hands were wrinkly and dark, but who was thinking of all of that when there was a breathtaking view of this in front of us? It was only 2 in the afternoon. We had time to eat hot potato roasty, rest, and just enjoy the place. The crackle of a waterfall as the frozen braid melted and became a source of life, the Marsyangdi. Tomorrow would be another day, an early day, all the way across Thorongla. Thanks for watching this What is India production. Give us a like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications.